The notification hit my phone at 2:47 a.m. during the worst shift I'd worked in months. ICU bed 3 was coding, bed 7 needed immediate intubation, and I had a fresh admit rolling through the doors. Then my banking app buzzed. Estate account balance, $0. I stared at the screen, my gloved hands shaking. 20 minutes earlier, that account held $847,000. My name is Erin Dalton. I'm 38 years old, an ICU nurse at Columbus Memorial Hospital in Ohio. For 3 years, I cared for my mother through stage 4 lung cancer while working double shifts to keep our bills paid. She passed 6 weeks ago. The money in that account was supposed to cover her final wishes and split between my sister Monica and me. Except now it was gone. All of it. I stepped away from the chaos, ducked into the supply closet, and pulled up the transaction history. One transfer. Executed at 2:34 a.m. Destination. An account I didn't recognize. My heart hammered against my ribs as I scrolled further. There was something else. An email notification. Subject line, property deed transfer confirmation. I opened it with trembling fingers. The PDF loaded slowly on my phone screen. Official county letterhead. Transfer of property deed for 2847, Oakmont Drive, our childhood home where Mom had lived until she died. Transferring ownership from Helen Dalton Estate to Monica Pierce and Associates. My signature sat at the bottom of the document. Except I never signed anything. That wasn't my handwriting. The loops were wrong, the pressure too light. Someone had forged my name. I leaned against the metal shelving, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, trying to process what I was seeing. Monica had always been difficult, competitive, resentful of the time I spent with Mom. But this was calculated theft. My phone buzzed again. A text from my colleague, Ashley, asking if I was okay. I texted back that I needed 5 minutes, then pulled up my contacts and found the number for James Chen, the probate attorney I'd quietly consulted 2 months before Mom passed. His voicemail picked up. I left a message, keeping my voice steady despite the fury building in my chest. Then I went back to work because patients don't stop dying just because your world is falling apart.
I didn't sleep that day. Couldn't.
After my shift ended at 7 a.m., I drove straight to the probate attorney's office and waited in my scrubs until he arrived at 8:30. James took one look at my face and ushered me inside. I showed him everything on my phone. The bank transfer, the forged deed, the email confirmations. He studied the documents carefully, his expression darkening with each page. "This is fraud," he said finally. "Clear-cut identity theft and property fraud." "When did your mother pass?" 6 weeks ago. The estate was supposed to enter probate next month. James nodded, making notes. "And you never authorized any transfers or deed changes?"
Never.
"I didn't even know this was happening until 3 hours ago." He leaned back in his chair. "Tell me about your sister."
So, I did.
Monica was 42, 4 years older than me. She worked in HR at a manufacturing company, made decent money, drove a new car every 2 years. She'd always resented that Mom and I were close. Called me the favorite. Said I manipulated Mom's emotions. After Mom's diagnosis, Monica visited maybe twice a month. Never stayed long. Never helped with medications or doctor appointments or the middle-of-the-night emergencies. I told James about the last good memory I had with Mom. It was 3 weeks before she died. She could barely keep food down, but I'd made her favorite soup, the same recipe her own mother used to make. I sat beside her bed, slowly feeding her small spoonfuls, waiting patiently between each bite. "You're a good daughter, Erin," she'd whispered. "Don't let anyone tell you different." I'd smiled and squeezed her hand. "Just rest, Mom. Save your strength." That night, she'd seemed peaceful. Content. Like she knew things were ending but felt safe about it. Monica had called that evening, said she was too busy to visit that week. Some work conference in Cleveland. Mom had just nodded when I told her, no surprise in her eyes. "She's always been driven by other things," Mom had said quietly. "Not like you. You stayed." I'd never forgotten that moment. The quiet acknowledgement between us. No resentment, just truth. Looking back now, I wondered if Mom had sensed something coming. If she'd known Monica's ambitions would eventually turn toward the estate. James interrupted my thoughts. Did your mother leave a will?
Yes.
Split everything 50-50 between Monica and me. But she wanted me as executor. James asked if I'd noticed any changes in Monica's behavior before Mom died. I thought back through the months of caregiving, trying to remember details I'd been too exhausted to process at the time. About 6 months ago, Monica changed all the passwords, I said. Mom's email, the home Wi-Fi, even the security system. She said it was for safety, that Mom was getting confused and might accidentally give information to scammers. James made another note. Did your mother ask for these changes?
No.
Mom was still sharp mentally. The cancer was in her lungs, not her brain. But Monica insisted, and Mom was too tired to argue. I remembered feeling uneasy about it but being too overwhelmed with medical appointments and medication schedules to push back. There were other small things too. Monica had taken Mom's laptop one weekend, claiming it needed updates and virus protection. She'd returned it 3 days later. Around that same time, she'd started talking about how the house was too big, too much maintenance, how Mom should consider downsizing. Mom loved that house, I told James. She'd lived there for 40 years. She wasn't going anywhere. But your sister kept bringing it up? Constantly. Every visit became a lecture about property values and market timing. The day after meeting with James, I drove to Mom's house. My house now, supposedly, though the forged deed said otherwise. A white pickup truck sat in the driveway. I didn't recognize it. The front door was unlocked. I walked inside and found 2 men in the living room, measuring walls and taking photos. Who are you? I asked. They looked startled. The older one, maybe 50 with a beer gut and clipboard, stepped forward. We're with Clearwater Property Solutions. We're doing a pre-sale assessment. Pre-sale? This house isn't for sale. He frowned and checked his clipboard. We have authorization from Monica Pierce. She hired us to prepare the property for listing. Monica doesn't own this property. I do. The man's expression shifted from confusion to concern. He pulled out his phone and stepped into the hallway, speaking quietly to someone. I walked through the house, documenting everything with my phone camera. Furniture had been moved. Personal items boxed up. Mom's bedroom looked stripped, empty of the photographs and small treasures she'd kept on her dresser. When I came back downstairs, both men were by the front door, looking uncomfortable. There seems to be some confusion about ownership, the older one said carefully. We're going to leave and sort this out with our client. They left quickly. That evening, Monica finally called. I'd been expecting it, waiting for it. What the hell are you doing? She said. No greeting, just immediate accusation. Having people removed from Mom's house? Our mother's house, I corrected. And those people had no right to be there. I hired them. I'm preparing the property for sale. We need to liquidate the estate. You don't get to make that decision alone, Monica. The estate hasn't even entered probate yet. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Of course you'd play lawyer. You've always been obsessed with control. Says the person who transferred the deed without my knowledge or consent. Silence. Long enough that I thought she might have hung up. Then, the deed transfer was necessary for estate planning purposes. My attorney handled it. Your attorney forged my signature. That's a serious accusation, Aaron. Her voice had gone cold, calculated. Be very careful about what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You committed fraud. You emptied the estate account. You tried to steal Mom's house. Steal? From myself? I'm entitled to half of everything. More than half, actually, considering how much time you monopolized with Mom at the end, probably poisoning her against me. There it was. The resentment she'd been building for years. I'm hanging up now, I said quietly. Expect to hear from my attorney. I hadn't told Monica about my preparations. Hadn't mentioned them to anyone except James. But 6 months before Mom died, when Monica started changing passwords and talking about downsizing, something in my gut had screamed warning. So I'd started making copies. Digital backups of every important document. Mom's will. Her medical directives. Her financial statements. I'd uploaded everything to a secure cloud storage account Monica couldn't access. I'd also done something else. Something I hadn't even told James about yet. 3 weeks before Mom passed, on one of her better days, I'd asked if she wanted to record a message. Just her thoughts, her memories, maybe some final words for family. She'd agreed. We'd sat together in her bedroom, my phone propped on the nightstand, and she'd talked for 20 minutes. About her life. Her regrets.
Her pride in me.
Her disappointment in Monica. And at the end, she'd made her wishes crystal clear regarding the house and estate. I had that recording backed up in 3 separate locations. I hadn't planned to use it. Hadn't wanted to weaponize Mom's final words. But Monica had forced my hand. That night, I met with James again and showed him the backup files. He smiled for the first time since this mess started. "This changes everything," he said. "This is your evidence." 2 days later, I received a call from Detective Wade Harrison with the Columbus Police Fraud Division. James had filed a formal complaint. The detective asked me to come to the station and bring all my documentation. I took a personal day from the hospital and spent 3 hours walking Detective Harrison through everything. The forged signature, the unauthorized transfers, the property assessors at the house. He took copies of all my documents, including the cloud backups. "This is pretty straightforward fraud," he said. "The signature alone is enough, but the financial transfers seal it. We'll need to bring in your sister for questioning." "There's more," I said. I told him about the property assessment company, about Monica's boyfriend Troy, about the weekends Monica spent away from town over the past year. "I think this might be bigger than just my family." Detective Harrison's expression sharpened. "Explain." "Monica's boyfriend, Troy Patterson. He works in real estate, flips properties. She started dating him about 18 months ago, right before Mom's condition got worse. And Monica suddenly got very interested in property values and quick sales." The detective made notes. "You think he's involved?" "I think he might have put her up to this. Or, at least helped facilitate it." Detective Harrison stood. "Let me make some calls. Don't leave town." The detective called me back that evening. "Troy Patterson," he said without preamble. "Does the name Kenneth Ashford mean anything to you?"
No.
"Should it?" Ashford is a real estate broker who's been on our radar for 18 months. We've had multiple complaints from families claiming he targets elderly property owners, convinces them to sell below market value to his associates, then the properties get flipped for massive profits. My stomach tightened. And Troy Patterson is one of these associates. Connected to at least 4 suspicious transactions in the past 2 years. All involving elderly sellers. All processed quickly with minimal documentation. "And you think my mother's house fits this pattern?" "I think your mother's house was supposed to fit this pattern. But you interrupted it." The detective explained that the fraud unit had been building a case against Ashford and his network, but lacked concrete evidence. Most victims' families didn't realize they'd been scammed until months later, after the properties had changed hands multiple times. "Your case is different," Harrison said. "You caught it immediately. You have documentation. And you have that recording. You want me to help you catch them?" I asked. "I want you to consider letting us use your situation as bait. But it's your call. And it's not without risk." I thought about the detective's proposal. Using my situation to expose a larger fraud operation. Part of me wanted to just get my money back, secure the house, and move on. But another part, the part that had spent 3 years watching Mom suffer while Monica barely showed up, wanted justice. Real justice. I called James. "The detective wants to use my case as bait to catch a real estate fraud ring." "I know." He called me too. "It's your decision, Aaron, but understand the risks. This could drag out for months. Monica will fight back. It could get ugly." "It's already ugly." "Fair point." I spent the next 2 days thinking, working my shifts, coming home to my small apartment that suddenly felt too empty. I kept thinking about that soup, about Mom's hand in mine, about her saying, "Don't let anyone tell you different." Monica had told everyone I was manipulating Mom, that I'd isolated her, that I was after the money. Let them hear the truth then. Let them hear Mom's actual words. I called Detective Harrison. "I'll do it. What do you need from me? Access to the house security cameras. The ones your sister installed supposedly for your mother's safety. I smiled. Monica had installed those cameras 8 months ago. I'd helped set them up. And I still had the administrator access code. The security camera setup was simpler than Detective Harrison expected. Mom's house had 4 cameras. Front door, back door, living room, and garage. All connected to a cloud service that stored footage for 30 days. I still had full access because Monica had used Mom's email to set up the account, and I had Mom's email password from the backup files. Can you see current footage? The detective asked over the phone. I pulled up the app.
Yes.
Clear view of all 4 cameras. Don't change anything. Don't let your sister know you can access this. Just keep monitoring and let me know if you see anything suspicious. For 3 days, nothing happened. The house sat empty. Then on the 4th night, at 11:47 p.m., motion alerts triggered. I was at work halfway through a night shift. I pulled up the app on my phone during a break. The front camera showed Monica's car pulling into the driveway. She got out, followed by a man I recognized from photos as Troy. They went inside. I watched them move through the house on the interior cameras. They went straight to Mom's old office, the small room where she kept her filing cabinets and important papers.
Troy had a laptop bag.
Monica had a flashlight. They spent 40 minutes going through files, photographing documents, loading some into boxes. I recorded everything on my phone. Screenshots, video captures, timestamps. Then I called Detective Harrison.
They're at the house right now.
Going through Mom's office. Don't confront them. Let them finish. This is exactly what we need. The detective told me to sit tight, keep monitoring, and document everything.
So I did.
I watched Monica and Troy load 3 boxes into Troy's truck. Watched them lock up and drive away at 1:23 a.m. I sent all the footage to Detective Harrison, then forwarded copies to James. The next morning, the detective called with news. We got a warrant for Troy Patterson's property and business records. Based on your footage and the pattern we've been tracking, we have enough for a fraud investigation. What about Monica? She's complicit. But right now, we're building the case around Patterson and Kenneth Ashford. Your sister is leverage. Meaning we arrest Patterson and Ashford first. Then we offer your sister a choice. Cooperate and testify against them, or face charges herself. It made sense tactically, but emotionally it felt wrong. Monica was the one who'd betrayed me, who'd forged documents and stolen money while Mom was dying. I want her held accountable, I said. She will be. But this is bigger than your family situation now. We have evidence of at least 6 other elderly victims. Your case helps us protect future targets. I understood. Hated it, but understood. Sometimes justice isn't about revenge. It's about prevention. When do you move? I asked. 72 hours. Stay available. 2 days later, Detective Harrison called with an update that made my blood run cold. We've identified 2 other victims in the past 6 months. Both elderly. Both had adult children serving as caregivers. Both properties transferred quickly through Kenneth Ashford's brokerage. Both families claimed forged signatures. How did you find them? Cross-referenced property transfers with Ashford's client list. Found patterns. Quick sales, below market value, family disputes afterward.
He paused.
There's something else. Troy Patterson attempted to open a line of credit using your identity 3 weeks ago. My hands went numb.
What?
Application for a $50,000 home equity line. Listed you as primary borrower, using your mother's property as collateral. The bank flagged it because the property was still in a state probate, so the application was denied. But he tried. I sat down hard. He has my personal information. My social security number. Probably got it from documents at your mother's house. Or your sister gave it to him. Either way, we've added identity theft to the charges. This is federal now. Federal. That meant FBI involvement. That meant serious prison time if convicted. When do you arrest him? I asked. Tomorrow morning. Simultaneous raids on Patterson's home and Ashford's office. We'll bring your sister in for questioning immediately after. Can I be there?
No.
But I'll call you as soon as it's done. The night before the raids, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my mind. Every conversation with Monica. Every password change. Every weird moment I dismissed as stress or grief. The signs had been there. I'd just been too exhausted from caregiving to see them clearly. Around 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and went to the hospital gym. Ran on the treadmill until my legs burned and my thoughts quieted. Rage clouds judgment, I kept telling myself.
Mom used to say that.
She was a high school teacher for 35 years. Dealt with angry parents, entitled students, bureaucratic nonsense. She never lost her temper. Never made decisions from emotion. Rage clouds judgment, she'd say. Judgment wins arguments. Wins cases. Wins wars. I needed to be like her now.
Calm.
Strategic.
Focused.
At 6 a.m., I showered and went to work. Normal shift. Normal routine. But my phone stayed in my pocket, volume up, waiting. The call came at 9:47 a.m. Detective Harrison. We have them both. Patterson and Ashford. Caught them with physical evidence at Ashford's office, including documents related to your mother's property. Your sister is being brought in now. Thank you, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I'll need you to come in this afternoon. Statement for the formal charges. I'll be there. Monica's attorney called me before I could get to the police station. His name was Philip Hayes, and his voice dripped with practiced sympathy. Ms. Dalton, I represent your sister, Monica Pierce. I understand there's been some unfortunate confusion regarding your mother's estate. There's no confusion. Your client committed fraud. That's a serious allegation. Monica maintains she was acting in good faith, following advice from her financial planner. Her financial planner. You mean her boyfriend, who's currently under arrest for fraud? Hayes paused. I'm calling to propose a resolution. Monica is willing to return all funds and relinquish any claim to the property in exchange for you dropping the criminal complaint.
No.
Ms. Dalton, please consider, no. Your client didn't just steal from me. She stole from her mother's memory. She forged legal documents. She participated in a fraud scheme that hurt other families. This isn't about money anymore. Then what is it about? Accountability. I hung up. James called 30 seconds later. Hayes just contacted me. Same offer. I told him no.
Good.
Because I just learned something interesting. Monica withdrew $15,000 in cash from the estate account 2 days before your mother died. Any idea what that was for? My mind raced.
No.
Mom was unconscious by then. Couldn't have authorized anything.
Exactly.
Which means Monica had access to the account before your mother passed. This wasn't opportunistic. This was premeditated. That afternoon at the police station, Detective Harrison showed me something on his computer. Security footage from Kenneth Ashford's office, pulled from their raid that morning. The video showed Monica meeting with Ashford and Troy 6 weeks before Mom died. They were sitting around a conference table with property documents spread out. The audio was clear. The house is worth at least $620,000, Ashford was saying. We'll list it at $485,000, claim it needs major repairs. My buyer will come in with a cash offer of $455,000. Quick close, no inspections. What about Aaron? Monica's voice. My sister will fight this. Let her, Troy said. By the time she realizes what's happening, the property will have changed hands. She can't reverse a legal sale. And the estate account? Monica asked. Transfer everything the day before probate opens. Once it's in your personal account, it's just a family dispute. Civil matter, not criminal. Monica nodded. How much do you get? 20% of the profit margin, Ashford said. Standard consulting fee. They'd planned everything. Every detail. While Mom was dying, while I was working doubles and sitting beside her bed, Monica was scheming with these men about how to steal her inheritance. I felt sick watching it. Detective Harrison stopped the video. We have more. Hours of meetings. Text messages. Financial records. This case is airtight. What happens now? They're all being formally charged tomorrow. Fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, elder abuse. Ashford and Patterson will probably take plea deals. Your sister's attorney will push for probation, community service. And if she doesn't take a deal? Harrison smiled grimly. Then we go to trial. And with this evidence, she loses. Monica called me from jail that night. I didn't want to answer, but James advised me to record it.
So I did.
Aaron. Her voice was hoarse.
Defeated.
I need you to drop the charges.
No. Please.
I made mistakes, okay? I admit that. But this is destroying my life. I lost my job. I'm facing prison. Troy won't even talk to me. You stole from our dying mother. I didn't steal. I was owed that money. You got everything. All her time, all her attention, all her love. I deserved something. The old accusation. The same resentment she'd carried for years. Monica, I got night shifts and medical bills and watching our mother die in pain. That's what I got. If you wanted time with her, you could have shown up. I had a job. Responsibilities. So did I. I just prioritized differently. Silence. Then, what do you want?
Money?
The house. I'll sign everything over. I want you to take accountability. I want you to admit what you did. I can't. Not legally. Hayes says anything I admit can be used in court. Then we're done talking.
Wait.
There's something you should know.
About Mom.
About that last week. I almost hung up. Almost. But something in her voice stopped me. What about it? She knew. About Troy and the house plans. She knew everything. Monica's words echoed in my head all night. She knew. About Troy and the house plans. She knew everything. It didn't make sense. Mom had been unconscious her final week. Heavily medicated. She couldn't have known about Monica's schemes. Unless Monica was lying. Trying to shift blame, make it seem like Mom had approved everything. But doubt crept in anyway. The next morning, I went through my backup files again, looking for something I might have missed. Then I found it. Mom's voice memo app. The recording I'd made with her permission 3 weeks before she died. I'd listened to it once, right after she passed, then couldn't bear to hear it again. I pulled up the file now and hit play. Mom's weak voice filled my car. If you're listening to this, I'm gone. I hope I made you proud, Aaron. You gave up so much to care for me these past years. Your time, your energy, your 20s. I see what it cost you. Her voice cracked. She paused to catch her breath. I need you to know something about Monica. I know what she's planning. Troy approached me 6 months ago, wanted me to sign papers to refinance the house. Said it would help with medical bills. But I saw what it really was. A way to steal equity before I died. Mom's voice continued on the recording. I told Monica no. Told her I wouldn't sign anything. That's when she started changing passwords, taking my computer. She thought I didn't notice, but I did. I'm dying, not stupid. A dry laugh. Painful to hear. I wanted to tell you, baby. But you were working so hard, so stressed. I didn't want to add to your burden. So, I made this recording instead. As evidence. As proof. She paused again, breathing labored. Everything goes to you, Aaron. The house, the accounts, all of it. Not because I love Monica less, but because she made her choice. She chose greed. She chose Troy. She chose to see me as an asset instead of a person. My hands shook holding the phone. I'm leaving the will as written. 50-50. Because I want to be fair. But I'm leaving this recording for you to use if needed. If Monica tries what I think she'll try, you play this. You let everyone hear who I trusted. Who I wanted handling my affairs. Her voice grew stronger, clearer. Monica, if you're hearing this, know that I loved you.
But I also knew you.
Knew your weaknesses. Knew the resentment you carried. I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean no consequences. You made your bed. Now you sleep in it. The recording ended. I sat in my car outside James's office and cried. Not from sadness. From vindication. From relief. Mom had known. She'd protected me even after death. I played the recording for James. then for Detective Harrison, then for the prosecutor handling Monica's case. Each time, I watched their faces change, heard them realize what this meant. This is admissible evidence, the prosecutor said. Her name was Victoria Cho, sharp-eyed and precise. Your mother was of sound mind when she made this. She explicitly states her awareness of fraud attempts. She names Troy Patterson specifically. Can we use it in court? I asked. Absolutely. This contradicts any claim your sister might make about having permission or authority. This proves premeditation and intent. Victoria looked at me carefully. Your sister's attorney will try to suppress this. Claim it's hearsay or taken out of context. Are you prepared for that fight? Yes. It's going to get ugly. Monica will attack your character. Claim you manipulated your mother, coerce this recording, poison her against family. Let her try. The truth is on that recording. Victoria nodded. Then we go forward. I'll submit this as evidence. We'll also request it be played at sentencing, assuming your sister takes a plea deal. And if she doesn't, then a jury hears your mother's voice explaining exactly what happened. I'd say that's pretty compelling testimony from beyond the grave. 3 days later, Monica's attorney requested a meeting. Hayes and Monica sat across from James and me in a conference room. Monica looked small, hollowed out. Good. She should feel what she'd done. We're prepared to make a deal, Hayes said. Hayes laid out Monica's proposal. Full restitution of all funds. Transfer of any claim to the property. 5 years supervised probation. Community service. Public apology. In exchange, Hayes said, Monica pleads guilty to reduced charges. Fraud in the 4th degree. No prison time. I looked at Monica. She wouldn't meet my eyes. What about Troy Patterson and Kenneth Ashford? I asked. They've accepted plea agreements, Victoria Cho said. Patterson gets 3 years federal prison. Ashford gets 5. Both pay substantial fines and restitution to all victims identified. And Monica walks free? She pays consequences, Hayes said quickly. Probation is serious. 1 violation sends her to prison, plus permanent criminal record. She loses her career. She deserves prison. Monica finally looked up. Aaron, please. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm begging you, don't send me to prison. You sent yourself there the moment you forged my name. I was desperate. Troy convinced me you were going to cut me out, that you'd manipulated Mom into leaving everything to you. So instead of talking to me, instead of being an adult, you decided to commit fraud? I made a terrible mistake. You made a series of calculated choices. I turned to Victoria. What do you recommend?
Take the deal, she said.
Guaranteed conviction, guaranteed restitution. Prison time for white-collar fraud is never certain, even with strong evidence. This way you get your money back, and she has a criminal record that follows her forever. I thought about Mom, about that recording, about what she'd want. Not revenge. Accountability. I have conditions, I said. My conditions were simple. Monica would plead guilty to fraud charges with no chance of reduced sentencing later. She'd pay back every dollar, plus interest, within 6 months. She'd sign an affidavit admitting to the forgery and fraud, which I could use in any future legal matter. And one more thing. I want you to listen to Mom's recording, I told Monica. The one she made 3 weeks before she died. In this room, right now, with witnesses. Monica's face went pale. Aaron, don't. You said Mom knew everything. That she approved your plans. Let's hear what she actually said. Hayes started to object, but Monica stopped him.
Fine.
Play it. I pulled up the recording on my phone and hit play. Mom's voice filled the conference room. Weak but clear. Explaining everything. Naming Troy. Explaining the refinance attempt. Expressing her forgiveness, but also her disappointment. When it got to the part where Mom said, Monica, if you're hearing this, know that I loved you. But I also knew you. Monica started crying. Silent tears streaming down her face. The recording continued. Mom's final words about consequences, about beds being made. When it ended, the room was silent except for Monica's quiet sobbing. She knew, Monica whispered. She knew everything, and she still left me half in the will. Because she loved you, I said. Despite everything. That's who Mom was. She gave you every chance to be better. You chose not to. Monica looked up at me. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I am. Sign the papers, I said.
She did.
The court proceedings happened quickly after that. Monica pled guilty. Troy and Kenneth Ashford were sentenced to federal prison. Assets were frozen and restitution orders were issued. 3 months after that notification hit my phone, I received a check for $847,000 plus interest and legal fees. The house deed was corrected, my name restored as rightful heir. The probate process finalized. Everything Mom wanted to leave me was finally, legally mine. I kept working at the hospital, picked up my normal shift rotation, tried to return to something like regular life.
But the house haunted me.
Every room held memories, some beautiful, some now poisoned by Monica's betrayal. I couldn't live there. Couldn't walk past Mom's bedroom without seeing her suffering. Couldn't sit in the living room without remembering Monica and Troy going through documents like vultures.
So I sold it.
Listed at fair market value, no games. Got $635,000 from a nice young family. Used the money to pay off all my debts and buy a small lakeside apartment 2 hours north. Quiet. Peaceful. A place with no history. I donated $50,000 to a local elder advocacy organization that fights financial exploitation. Mom would have liked that. The rest went into investments and savings. Security for the future I'd sacrificed while caring for Mom. I didn't regret those years. Wouldn't trade them. But I could finally breathe now. 6 months after everything settled, I received a letter from one of the other victims' families. The detective Harrison had mentioned. The family had gotten their money back thanks to the case against Ashford and Troy. They wanted to thank me. You didn't just save your own mother's legacy, they wrote. You saved ours too. Our grandmother's house meant everything to us, and we thought it was gone forever. Thank you for being brave enough to fight back. I pinned that letter to my refrigerator. Some mornings, when the silence of my lakeside apartment felt too heavy, I'd read it and remember that something good came from all this pain. Monica completed her probation. Last I heard, she moved to another state, started over with a new job under her maiden name. We don't talk. Maybe someday we will. Maybe not. I've made peace with either outcome. I still work ICU shifts. Still pull doubles when needed. Still sit with dying patients and hold their hands when family can't be there. I'm good at my job. Good at caring. Monica tried to make that sound like manipulation, but it never was. It was love. On Mom's birthday, I drove to the cemetery and played her recording at her grave. Sat there in the grass listening to her voice, remembering her strength. If someone lies about your character, I said to her headstone, let the truth speak in your voice and theirs. The wind rustled through nearby trees. Somewhere a bird called out. And I felt, for the first time in years, at peace. Not because I'd won. Because I'd honored who Mom raised me to be. Someone who finishes what others start. Someone who lets truth speak louder than accusations. Someone who knows that love isn't measured in inheritance, but in the quiet hours of showing up when it matters most.